From November 14th to 21st, we're inviting you to join us for a powerful trip to Ghana. This isn't just a vacation. This is a chance to walk through the same places where many of our people were captured, held, and shipped off into slavery. So don't wait. Secure your spot today. We're making history by walking through it. Will you be with us?
Hello and welcome back to the African Diaspora News Channel. Do we remember this guy? Well, for those of us who don't know, that is Pastor Kevin O. Smith, leader and founder of the Pathways International Church. Back then, Pastor Smith was many things. He called himself God, he called himself a prophet. But Pastor Smith also had a problem. Let's dive into the details. The Canada Walrus recently published an article on the bizarre events that took place on this day, also with some new information that they had spoken to persons firsthand who knew who Smith was. On Sunday, October 17, 2021, Smith took to Facebook to encourage all his members to come to the church as he said the great flood was coming. There was no time to waste. Everyone should leave their personal belongings at home, their phone, all electronics, and come cladded in white. At first, only 10 people made it through. While inside, a bottle of wine spilled, and Smith instructed his ward to kill everyone that the wine spilled in front of. Was this cult-like? Yes. But did everyone stay and watch? Yes, they did, because they were brainwashed. Pastor Kevin O. Smith was said to have studied psychology while in Canada and knew how the human mind worked. He had everybody wired to believe that he was God and he was the second coming of Christ. No. While everyone stood in that church, another young man came in asking to be let into the ark. He then instructed his ward to kill him because he said, "You are unclean." The man ran and the woman ran behind him. They were stabbed in the back. This woman would have been the one to then save everyone's life. She ran to the police station. No. While inside, members said they were under a white sheet covered. They heard sounds. They heard him transforming into God, because he said that's who he was. They could hear him. They could hear his voice echoing. They couldn't see because they were covered, but they could hear. Now, while only a few members were in the church up to this point, there were hundreds more gathered outside. He went outside. He took a book and took two young men who he ordained as his angel, tell them to strip down to their underwear and put on a white robe and accompany him. Now he went outside and he called the names and told them to come inside the ark. However, in order for them to enter the kingdom, they had to die. They still willingly went inside. The first young man that he had stabbed came back. This time, he came back with his family. Why, after being stabbed, would you come back? Nobody knows, but they believe that this is the power that Smith had over his people. This is why they believe it to be a cult more than a church. He also called a young man who had just had surgery. He asked him a series of questions. Do you believe I am God? Do you believe I can resurrect you if you die? To which the young man answered, yes. It is believed that in the past he had raised the dead and cured the sick. They had said that women who could not walk, he made them walk. Persons who died, he raised them from the dead. Or this is what members of his church alleged. No one knows how he did it, but this is how he told them that he was God, or convinced them that he was God. Please also note that Smith studied psychology while in school, so he knows how the human mind works. And this is how he was able to convince these people. When he was inside, he pulled out the chest tube from one young man, leaving him to die. He then went ahead, instructed one of his angels to kill another young lady who he had taken from outside. Now, it is alleged that he was the main beneficiary on this young lady's life insurance policy. And should anything happen to her, he would be the one to benefit. People say that's why he killed her.
Things them up, mash up, wind them round pan it, mash up cheer, mash up everything. Mash up glass and all cut up himself and a ball out in the church. I mean, I say, oh, what is this, man? I wonder if a chance saw me when they chance saw me in God now. I do your things around your mind now, you see me? Then he walk and a cuss and a walk and a say people turn them back on him and he come in the flesh and you don't realize him and all type of something. That's God. You don't realize him. So we did up on the gun and him a walk and you see me? Come on, something he all walk away. You walk on him with the...
Nothing is confirmed. Now, while all this was happening, the young lady that he had stabbed where the wine spilled, she ran to the police station and she made a report. Police then gathered and went back to the church. Inside the church, there was one young lady, she was a pastor. He ordained her, told her she was unstoppable, she was immortal, nothing could kill her, and she should take her service weapon and go outside and kill her fellow colleagues. No. She went outside, she was covered in a white robe just like everybody else had instructed. He had instructed everybody to come in white, but she did nothing. She just stood there. She went out there and she just stood there. So nothing happened. His ward, the one who did the first stabbing, he told him to take a knife and to go outside and to do the same thing. He ran outside, he was shot by the police, and he died on the spot. Weeks later, after he was being transported to Kingston, the vehicle that Smith was traveling in was overturned along the Flatbridge area, and Smith died along with one police officer. No, the reason why persons allege that this is a setup and Smith did not die as he has friends in high places that wanted their secrets kept hidden is because persons usually do not travel along the Flatbridge area, especially police who are in a rush. That area usually takes longer, and it is not as safe.
Immediate aftermath of the crash.
Somebody gone!
The officers were taking Kevin Smith, leader of the Pathways International Ministries, in an unmarked service vehicle to Kingston for him to be formally charged. Our information is that Smith and another suspect were to be charged with the death of two congregants at Smith's church 2 Sundays ago. The second suspect, who was being transported to face similar charges, was in another marked service vehicle that was piloting the vehicle carrying Smith and the policeman who died. This is dash cam video just before the accident. Senior Superintendent Stephanie Lindsay, head of the Police Communications Unit, CCU, says
Now, many people believe that there is more to this story, that the bizarre events from that night was not the end of it. They believe that Smith is not dead and he's somewhere on a beach sipping cocktails, or even back in Canada where he had said to get his doctorate and he had studied psychology. They also believe that because he had friends in places, they made him get away with it. Some of the wards that he had had in his care turned out to be doctors, models, and even members in the law service. It is also alleged that these men were not just his wards, and he was abusing them and assaulting them, as he only took male into his care. So what do you think? Let's have a meaningful discussion. Do you believe the pastor is somewhere on a beach sipping Mai Tais, or do you believe he did in fact pass away the way they said he did? Let us know down in the comments. Until next time, thanks for watching.